leadership team as to their goal moving forward around discipline. So we're gonna use the data-wise process to apply our learning. And the objectives are to examine and analyze school-wise behavior data through the data-wise lens and identify the priority questions for grade-level behavior data. Of course, these are your big rocks. This is what you all collaboratively decided last year that were the ingredients for your success. Building instructional capacity, high expectations and urgency and collaboration. And when you think about data-wise and the norms and the habits, it's all about learning with and from each other. These are the norms that you have identified. And I know I just gave a kudos, but can anyone share one data-wise kudos? Can someone shout out either to your peer or to a team? Think about all the work that you've done with data-wise.
I'm going to shout out 5th and 6th grade. 5th and 6th grade has worked really hard to implement discourse in their classrooms, and they've been using roll cards. They're doing a great job with that.
Anyone else? One more?
Shout out everyone because the peer walkthroughs I heard have been amazing and they have been informative. For example, one of the teachers that I observed, like a specialty teacher, she used some information she got from the walkthroughs and saw that the kids needed support in answering open-ended questions. So when I did a formal observation, she did a lesson on open-ended questions. So that is informing instruction and practice.
So I'm hearing like through lines, right? Connections from what you learned and then the application into the classroom. And that's really what data-wise is all. Any collaborative, continuous improvement process is about that. Learning it together and then going in and really applying your learning and then coming back, right? Coming back and assessing if what you said you were gonna do is working. And if it isn't, why is it that it didn't work? The ACE habits are really the foundation of the continuous improvement process. And there's a good alignment between these habits and your 3 big rocks. A shared commitment to action, assessing, and adjustment, which is what you, both of you kind of referenced, right? The fact that there's focus on discourse and then work that happened as a result of the walkthroughs. There was an action, you committed to doing this, you assessed it, and then you keep adjusting. And the intentional collaboration is what you at MLK, that's what it's all about, right? You committed yourselves to learning with and from each other and be intentional around that work. And that's where all the protocols come in and making sure that not only do you come together in a very intentional way, but then that you transfer that into your classroom and that your instruction looks like that as well, that you're intentional about your teaching and your learning. And then the last one is the relentless focus on evidence, and that's really what the focus is also for today. The fact that we're gonna look at your specific data out for MLK and see what it is that the data is saying and what questions come up for you. Do they have copies of the funnel? You've all seen the funnel. I wanted to kind of call to mind that this is the process that we use to apply the learning. And I'm not gonna go through all of the steps, but it's really just to kind of highlight the fact that, in step 3, which is where we're gonna be today, there's a lot of data that usually you have all at the same time. And the idea is to kind of swim and figure out how you can move through some of the data and see what questions emerge for you, so that you can identify the priority question, which is directly connected to the focus area, and in this case is the discipline. This is step 3, right? We're gonna identify the priority question. The focus area we said was with regard to discipline. We're gonna see that data and find the story in it. Display the data. You remember last time we were together, we had all the charts and you were all trying to figure out how to display your data. We have some data displays for you. And then you as a staff are gonna make sense of the data and identify a priority question. Okay, they did some work with the objectivity specificity matrix. I think that's what you used, the frame that you used when you went into your doing your peer walkthroughs. And so we're gonna use the same frame of thinking when you look at the data. In your handouts, you should have a copy of the specificity matrix. Yes?
It's on the second or third page of the agenda.
I'm actually gonna get a copy myself. The example that actually is posted there, I think the one that's in your folder is better. So if you recall when you went in to do your peer observations, you wanted to stay in the green zone, right? You wanted to go in, you wanted to take very specific information and descriptive, because you wanted to stay away from being judgmental, you didn't want to be general, or you didn't want to be general and descriptive. So you want to make sure that you stay in that quadrant. And in your handout, there are some examples, because we're going to use this frame when we look at the data. So for example, in the, well, it's not green, but you know, it's the gray box. The gray box, the first bullet, it says, students worked in teams of 4 following the scientific process to ... That's very specific and very descriptive. So we've given you several examples there. But really what we want you to do when you look at the data and you start saying things is to see if you can frame yourself around that specific quadrant. Does that make sense so far? It's a little different in terms of when you went into the classroom, you were scripting, right, what you saw. Now we're just gonna script what you see in terms of the data. Remember the ladder of inference? I think we watched the video last time with the guy that was really angry when someone took his parking. And the ladder of inference just reminds us that, you know, there's a scaffolding approach that happens when we get information. We talked about data is all over the place, right? Data is quantifiable data, meaning numbers, or data could just be observational data. And we're quick, right? We start with some data, and then we sometimes just want to fly up to the last step, and we want to make a quick decision, right? Sometimes when it's about judging, right? When you judge people, you encounter someone, you immediately jump up the ladder, and like, oh my God, then she's this or she's that. Or it's about some of our students, right? We get our students in front of us, and without much data, we make assumptions. For us as administrators, sometimes we have data, and we take one look at a data, and then we say, okay, then we gotta go buy that reading program. Right? Or we have to change the entire master schedule because our kids are not doing well, without really going through this process of, okay, I got the first piece of data, let me interpret the data, let me step back and see what it's really telling me. Then begin to draw conclusions before taking actions. And that's really what this process is gonna be about today with the discipline data. But I wanted to just highlight the ladder of inference so that we can just slow it down. Okay, so we have a first protocol, and are they all in small groups? They're not in small groups. Okay, so you can do this with your peers, maybe in groups of 3. And what we're gonna do is you're gonna discuss the data set, and you should have the data sets in your, yes. Let's see. So I'm going to give you a minute to just find a triad or a group of 4 so that you can really work together. So this is the first protocol. We're just going to get warmed up.
Can you pass these down?
Do you guys need,
Who wants data?
We'll take it at a time.
Sounds good.
Data for everyone. Sure.
Jess.
Super enthusiastic.
For a Tuesday morning.
Work together. We're gonna, ready the first, I'm gonna give you three minutes so that you can look at your data set. Discuss what you see quickly in 3 minutes.
What is overall what I see? I see we are fighting and physical aggression.
Yes, we examined all the data.
You can look at all three of them or just one.
That one's a little nutty.
This one's
All this stuff is like.
What's the darkest in February? So is that the highest? This one I can't remember. That's I mean, it definitely gets higher in summer.
Oh, yeah, that's by month overall.
Yeah, November was higher.
By how many? It's really.
Infractions, total, all infractions. Okay, these are all infractions.
Disruptive behavior, physical alternatives. What's this one?
Physical aggression, hitting. I was just praising our school, talking about no one ever fights upstairs. Like, I don't know.
Well,
Compared to the old days.